If you are just joining us, I say welcome to the Africa Daily Show. And wherever you find yourself, you can stream us live on africaglobalradio.com. Listen to the show, the aftermath of it. Well, after the show is over, you may not be able, of course, to get us live, which is impossible. So the podcast version is on AGR on demand, so you can listen to that at your convenient time. And yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel for this particular video. If you didn't catch it live, it will be available on YouTube, Africa Global Radio. Yeah, it's a very sad day in Tanzania, and of course, the whole of Africa. I mean, losing a leader is like losing, one. It's actually like a chain, and then one actually breaks, and then it would actually bring some form of disorganization until that actually gets fixed. But yeah, I mean, it was announced by the vice presidents of Tanzania the passing of their presidents, President John Pombe Magufuli, after he was admitted in the hospital. Now, and there were speculations about, what the possible cause of death. Some were actually relating it to COVID-19, which government officials have constantly denied. And I mean, per what the vice president talked about, he suffered from heart complications and what have you. But all in all, it doesn't take away the fact that a great man, a great leader, first gentleman of Tanzania, I mean, one of the giants, because at a point in time, Tanzania was all over the newspaper because of that leader that they had. And it actually sends a certain signal that this man actually has something, has an agenda. What is he actually doing that actually got him so much media attention? We're going to be talking about that right here. And of course, when you mention John Magufuli, you would definitely be thinking about COVID-19 on his ways of handling COVID-19, and then history, of course, being made in the country as his vice president happens to be a woman, would be the first female president to be sworn in Tanzania, hopefully for the next term. And maybe see if she will actually run again or leave the seat for someone else to take over. But let me bring in my colleagues here. Hafiz Gunu is here, Epiphany as well as Mami. But let me begin with Hafiz. Chairman, Kaula,
Alafi.
the so. What did I say? I don't even know.
What is susu?
But I think I need to say Karibu. Maybe use marhaba or something because Swahili. I mean, Tanzania. There's a bit of Arab-speaking people, especially in Zanzibar. There are a lot of Arabian speaking and it's more of like more Muslim dominated space in Zambia. So Zanzibar. So there's like that Arabian interaction there as well. But generally Swahili. Karibu. You say thank you. I said welcome.
Yeah. So
So say
how do I
well,
respond?
thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll talk about that afterwards. But yeah, moving. Yeah, I was about to say that exactly, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm not mean. But back to the topic. I mean, it's a sad day for the people of Tanzania, not just in Tanzania, but all over the world, and of course Africa as well. We've lost one of the leaders in Africa, and it has brought a lot of conversations to the paper.
Yes, John Magufuli.
Mm,
It's a sad day for Tanzania, like you rightly mentioned.
right.
I mean, we've heard of rumors of his demise
Mm,
in a few days, even prior to the
yeah.
announcement.
Yeah.
And because there wasn't any form of official communication,
Communication.
it sent the rumor mill out of control, and people were speculating and everything. Gladly, well, the vice president has come out to put, all matters to rest and
Yeah.
given an official account of everything that happened.
Mm,
Now, who was John Magufuli? I
mm,
mean, he's been talked about a lot. Who was he, and why? Why is Tanzania? Why is his death sending such ripples across Africa?
mm.
Ripples of shock across Africa.
Exactly.
Now, John Magufuli was a complex character,
Mm,
a puzzle, if you like,
mm,
not just to Tanzanians but to the rest of the world. Now, he was a man that had a brilliant start in his first term to life in the presidency,
right.
but at some point, some would say went off the rails,
Mm, mm.
depending on which side of the conversation you're on.
Exactly. Right.
Yes. So, I mean, the question still remains: who was he? Why are we talking so much about him? Now,
Mm,
I'm sure there's so much literature about him out there that you probably would be able to get your hands on if
exactly.
you look in the right places. So I'm not going to bore you too much. but just highlight a few interesting things about him.
Mm.
Now, John Magufuli, between the periods of, or even before that, he was one of those leaders that gained worldwide acclaim
Mm.
uh, because of his no-nonsense approach to governance and issues of corruption.
Right.
Now, between the periods of 2010 and 2015, he he was the deputy minister for works, transport, and communication,
True.
and during which time he spearheaded a lot of road projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and he was very
I think
instrumental.
that's where he got the name bulldozer.
Exactly because of the
Seeing
works.
to the,
Yes.
realization of the projects and
Exactly. I
all.
mean, like I
Yeah.
mentioned, he was a no nonsense
Yeah.
kind of man.
Mm.
And even before that, I mean, for 20 years, he was a cabinet
Cabinet
minister.
minister, exactly.
And during which time, get this, he was he wasn't involved in any issue
Any,
of
yeah.
corruption.
Mm-hmm.
He was unblemished
Mm.
as far as his reputation goes.
Mm.
And so that was how easy it was for him to run at the presidency. Remember, even in his party, he wasn't the obvious choice.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it
He
was
was a
actually-
neutral guy.
It was actually a man that served as prime minister before. That was Edward Lowassa.
Okay.
Yes, he
Who was
actually the
supposed to be
favorite. Yes,
leading
yes.
the
But
party.
I mean, he had issues with corruption and everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the party was divided internally until he got the backing of some members to lead the party. And so we've seen John Magufuli, at the helm, carry Tanzania to different heights. But then
Right.
again, when you talk about him and the fact that for 20 years he served as cabinet minister and was unblemished, people are like, well, what's the big deal? Now, if you know how infrastructure works, you realize that it's the easiest conduit for issues of corruption.
Yeah.
Because you see, I mean, look, we've seen it one too many times in these parts where on paper a project would cost
It's
say,
worth this.
$3 million.
But in real sense.
But when you go and watch the project, it doesn't even come close to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right, right.
So the
Bloated
obvious question
figures
is,
and what have you.
exactly. So the obvious question is, where did the rest of the money go?
Go to personal pockets, I believe.
So with Magufuli and the projects he was, attached to, this
Proper
wasn't
scrutiny.
exactly. This wasn't something you would hear
Yeah.
about in terms of infrastructure.
Mm.
So, and somehow, yes, and when I talk about this, someone said, but I mean, at least
Again.
he was doing his job.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you are
What he's expected to do, at
what is
least.
he expected to do? I mean, why are we patting him on the back? It's almost like applauding a fish for swimming.
Exactly,
so-
right.
But that's how I'm just trying to make you understand just how difficult it is. But then when you talk about, and one thing I don't like or appreciate is the fact that, I mean, since his death came up, you have people consistently link or talk about his anti-COVID rhetoric. and all.
Exactly, which I think is not
Yes.
really fair and not the way to go at all.
Because you see, look, let's not even go into that because the Western leaders aren't exactly any different.
We'll definitely come to that
So-
that conversation. But yeah, that was half is good opening the conversation for us and looking at just a bit of who John Magufuli is. And as he rightfully mentioned, this is a man who is a no-nonsense man, very disciplined. I mean, as humans as we are, we definitely have our own setbacks. But in the case of accountability and seeing to the realization of duties that he's supposed to do, I mean, yeah, a lot of people can actually testify to that because he actually served as MP, member of parliament, for the district that he came from. But then let me hear from my colleagues, Epi and Mami. Let me start with Epi. Epi,
Very.
sad day for the people of Tanzania and Africa as a whole.
Yes, it's a very sad day for them, at least as much as they've lost their leader.
Right.
You can also say that they've lost somebody who was he was like a light onto the path for them. I mean, Hafiz has mentioned some things about the corruption issues that he actually stood against. One of the few things he also did was the fact that he was able to actually go after international corporations that were actually causing loss or not doing the right things to the country.
Yeah.
So you take, for example, in 2017, he actually went against a company called Acacia. And Acacia, he blamed them of evading tax. And he
That's true.
literally slapped them with a maximum tax bill of 190 billion US dollars.
Yep.
Now, these people denied and denied and denied. But then in 2019, they finally agreed to pay 3 million US dollars.
At least something came out
Yes,
there.
and aside that as well, they decided that they were going to give the government a 16% stake
In the
their
whole
new renamed
operation.
company.
Amazing.
So that tells you that he knew what he was doing.
Doing.
He knew what he was about. And this is somebody who came from nothing. You know, he didn't come from this affluent background.
Okay.
His father was a peasant farmer, farmer,
Uh-huh.
and he came from that. So he used what he experienced growing up to
Right.
actually work. And some of his colleagues used to say that he could have been the richest politician if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he didn't let that be his drive. I remember on his first day of reporting for work as president,
You mean way back in 2016?
yes, he
Okay.
actually went first, straight forward, unannounced, a surprise visit to the Ministry of Finance just to see those who didn't report for work.
Okay, these are some very, very, very disciplined personality, I would say. And talking about, riches and everything. I mean, a man who he did something that I would relate to, Thomas Sankara, slashing down his salary and everything. We're going to talk about that moving.
And also, in slashing down his salary, he also actually cut down on independence celebrations that were cost the
Yeah,
state.
the
It was
state
just
so much,
draining
yeah.
the state of money.
There
So
was this particular one.
he turned it into a cleanup day for them.
Exactly, exactly.
And he himself will be out there and helping them collect and gather waste and
Leader with,
clear the
leadership
place.
with example.
That's
Amazing.
something
Let me bring in my colleague, Mame Abba Amwamenta, who, of course, loves Tanzanian music. I believe when I mentioned Diamond Platinums, she would give me a thumbs up. You like Diamond Platinums, don't you?
Not really.
What's your favorite? Harmonize?
I don't really. I
You don't listen
really,
to Tanzanian music?
Not really.
Really? Okay. But
Why
yeah,
Hafiz is smiling behind his mouth.
Oh no.
He's wondering.
When you guys mentioned diamond,
Diamond
there's a problem I
Platinums.
have with diamond.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
No, not now. We'll talk about that
His
later.
costume actually, bright colors. Right?
It's okay.
Which part of the not now
It's,
did you
it's
not
okay.
understand?
It's okay. But yeah, Mame, a little bit of take on the loss that has been hit by Tanzania.
Yeah, I mean, Epi Hafiz, you have said a lot. I mean, in as much as everybody has good sides and bad sides,
Right.
but in as much as he wasn't a saint,
Mm.
this John, the late
Mm-hmm.
president of Tanzania, can be seen as a great son of Africa.
Absolutely.
Because we're always talking about being independent and doing things our own
On our
way
own.
and using our own resources. And there's a man who championed that cause.
Mm.
So I believe Tanzania and the whole of Africa
I've
have
lost
lost
an exemplary leader.
an exemplary leader. And to add to some of the things that he did that you guys mentioned,
Right.
I read he rejected a 10 billion loan from China. I mean,
We can do it by ourselves, right? So we don't need
it's
the
like
loan,
we're always talking
which
about
comes with
we are-
directive,
we
yeah?
are independent
Conditions and what have you.
and
Yeah.
we want to do things our way, and then we find ourselves going back to these superpowers
Exactly.
to take loans and all of that. And this is a man who stood and rejected a loan from a country.
I remember a man once said, when you say superpowers, it's just a name they've given to themselves. You are also a superpower if you want to be.
And
Very
he also
interesting, yeah.
reduced the size of the cabinet in Tanzania
Exactly.
from 30 to 19.
Mm.
That brings
I think
me,
even went further to 15.
that brings me to the case of Ghana.
Yeah. Our base Ghana.
Yeah, but
Started, that's not
Cutting
so,
street
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, Hafiz has just mentioned straight with
Yeah.
us, and let's not. We are talking about John
Tanzania,
Pombe
yeah.
Magufuli.
Right.
Let's not go into Ghana right
Anyway,
now.
but thanks for the
But-
comma though. That's a comma. We'll continue. That's a comma.
Yeah, but this goes to show the kind of a man he
Yeah.
was. I
mm.
mean, take into. I want to talk about this man. Is it Idi Amin?
Idi Amin, yeah.
Idi Amin did a lot of terrible things to a lot of terrible people.
Mm.
But he, aside that,
Mm.
did some things for the country that if other African leaders.
You are mentioning Magufuli and Idi Amin in the same breath. Unbelievable.
I mean, okay, let me not mention. Let me just use
Nope.
JJ Rawlings.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Let
All
me
right.
just
Hold on.
Let me just use JJ Rawlings. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want Hafiz to get on my case.
Okay.
I know how very controversial Hafiz can be.
That's
Right.
not
But-
better either.
But fine.
Anyway, that's
Just
fine.
allow her.
No.
So
I'm just
Hafiz, hold on.
saying.
Just allow her.
Don't. I thought you've changed.
Okay, I'm out.
Anyway,
no,
let-
he can never
yeah,
change.
Right.
I'm just
Land,
saying these are leaders
Mm.
who did some terrible things.
Right.
But these are
Per
also
some people. Yeah. That's what some people would feel because that's like everybody's got their
Oh,
good
Barry.
definition to some people.
Eh,
Everybody's got their bad
terrible
definition
things
to
are
some people.
terrible things. I think to most
subjective.
people.
That's what I'm saying. It's subjective.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so you
To
can't
some-
justify that
okay.
As I
these.
said, they are
Oh,
complex characters.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
These are leaders who,
Uh-huh.
according to some people, did
Uh-huh.
some terrible things.
Right.
But there are also leaders
Mm.
who took certain steps,
Mhm.
who made certain decisions for their countries
Because it
that
was
I
for the
believe
betterment of the country.
that I believe if
Right.
other African leaders should emulate, the
would help.
continent would move further than where we are right
Right.
now.
All right. Thank you very much, Mami, for sharing your thoughts. The show is Africa Daily on Africa Global Radio, and I am Barry Musa. You are welcome to join us with your thoughts, comments, and contributions as well through our Facebook page, Africa Global Radio. On Twitter, AF Global Radio. The hashtag is the Africa Daily Show. And of course, when you're tweeting at us on Twitter, use the hashtag the Africa Daily Show. Right. Let's go back to conversations right now. Now, let's come back to the order of the day, which is, of course, the most talked about issue, COVID-19. Now, when you mention Magufuli, one of those issues that is attached to him, of course, late, is COVID-19 and how he actually went about, the issue, handling the COVID-19 issue, which for me, I think, to some extent, is not really fair with respect to the trolling and bashing. Because if you look at the Westerners, as you mentioned, I think some of them also handled it in a way that wasn't looking pretty at all. But then let me start with you, Hafiz.
Yeah. Like I was saying before, the whole conversation was cut short.
Right.
When you mention Magufuli, I mean, usually for a lot of people, they go to conversation would be okay. The way his anti-COVID stance
Yeah,
and everything,
yeah.
and the way he handled it. Yes, of course, this was a man, for context, for those who don't understand. I mean, this was a man that encouraged his citizens to pray and
Yeah, there was a 3-day
and also
prayer and fasting and all.
Yes,
Yeah.
encouraged steaming and all that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
I'm not going to the right or wrong of the matter. I
Mm.
mean, we've seen Western leaders do, if not
Oh,
same,
yeah.
but even worse.
Former President Trump,
Trump, in context.
Brazilian Jair Bolsonaro.
Jair Bolsonaro.
Mm.
Even for Trump, if you're looking at the things he said, that guy shouldn't even be near the corridors of power.
Yeah.
The things he said and did.
But recently
Let's not
he
even
told
get
he
into
told his people to go for vaccination.
So let's not even go into that. Okay? If you look at the UK and everything. they
Yeah,
went
Boris
through-
Johnson with the head immunity issues
Exactly.
and all of that. Yeah, yeah.
he was toying around with the issues of herd immunity.
Exactly.
We also how it
How it turned out. Yeah,
for Britain and everything.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't just sit down there and judge. Yes, he was human.
Mhm.
Okay, he had his failings.
Yeah.
But I think his good far outweighs, his failings.
Mm.
And for us here at Africa Global, we are all about positive vibes.
absolutely.
And that is what we are highlighting.
Mm.
And for me, I think one of the biggest losses in this is that, we are losing strong leaders. And strong in this
Absolutely.
sense, because for me, if I watch Africa, some strong leaders I can mention on top of my head.
Mm.
Someone like Mugabe, someone like...
Kwame Nkrumah.
No, that's just really so
Okay,
long ago,
so
like-
long ago.
like-
Recent, right?
Yes, Muammar Gaddafi.
Muammar Gaddafi,
Nelson Mandela. These are
Mhm.
all strong leaders.
Yeah,
Yes, recently maybe the remaining ones will be Kagame and Magufuli. And
yeah,
all. They are
yeah,
more nationalists and
yeah.
and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and we are losing them. So
It's
that's
a
for me,
part of
that's
concern.
a point of concern for
Mm.
me. But then, now Magufuli was interesting.
Mm.
Now you can talk about him all day,
Mm.
and it's sort of interesting thing. Now I just picked out 4 interesting things. there.
Okay.
Now the keyword here is interesting. I'm not giving it whether it's good or bad. I'm
All
just saying
right.
it's very
Interesting. Right. So you define it.
Exactly. So
Okay.
number 1,
Mm.
just 4 interesting things. Now, like Nana,
Mami?
Mami mentioned. I
Right.
almost called her Nanaba.
I
don't know where
know.
that is coming from.
Okay.
So,
Unfortunately, there's a conflicting issues there, but then let's not go there. But
now she mentioned
just by
that
the
he
way.
rejected $10 billion loan facility from China.
From
Now,
China.
here's what he said actually about that
About
loan
that loan.
facility. He said
Mm.
only drunkards would accept
Hmm.
these terms.
Whoa.
And that was because in relation to the lease involved in the agreement. And guess what?
Mm.
The one that spearheaded the sign of that loan facility was his predecessor, Jakaya Kikwete.
Okay. So you've signed. Okay.
Exactly.
Me, I
And that
won't
was to build,
collect.
to build a port.
Okay.
Yes, and that was what he said of the loan. He said that only drunkards would accept the terms. Anyway, now, interesting
Good.
fact
Mm.
number 2
Mm.
about him. Now, he banned government officials from foreign travels and
Right.
saved the East African nation $429.5 million
Imagine what that can do.
between the periods of November 2015 and November 2016, according to the Bank of Tanzania. Now, every
Just
now and
within
then,
a 1-year period.
that's-
Imagine.
every now and then we see I mean, in our home base Ghana, we see how
Oh yeah, back
yeah,
and forth, eh?
having the time of their
I
life.
know, right?
Yeah. So,
Back and forth.
and that's just in a
Right.
year the money they save.
Just a year.
Just by asking people
Not to.
his officials not to take foreign travels anymore.
Mm.
Now, number three, interesting fact number three about him. Now he endorsed that. Get this. That's why I said interesting,
Mm.
and I have my reason.
Right.
Words are very important.
Mm.
He endorsed banning pregnant students from schools.
Oh wow.
Yes. Now
Okay.
here's what he said about the city. He said as long as I'm president,
Mm.
no pregnant students will be allowed to return to school. Now, of course, this didn't go down well with women's rights,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
hashtag Stop Magufuli
Yeah.
trended for long, and well, he gave all kinds of reasons. That's why I said interesting.
Okay.
Now, the last part. Now, in the last part, I'm not sure Mami will. No, Mami. I'm sure she has a lot to say about this.
Okay.
Anyway, now he pleaded with men in
Okay.
his country to marry two or more women
All right.
in order to reduce prostitution.
Okay.
Now, that was a time when the population of Tanzania, where they had population dynamic of where 40 million women as
Mhm.
against 30 million men.
Yeah.
So there was-
Yeah.
yes,
I
there
remember
was-
that story very
there
well.
was-
Yeah. He trended
Yes,
for that
so
very
he was
well.
asking men to marry,
Mhm.
more
More than one.
than one,
Mm.
and he also promised them incentives so long as they didn't abuse them and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, in a nutshell, this was John Magufuli.
Mm.
He gave you so much.
Very
to talk.
principled, eh?
He gave you so much to talk about.
Mm.
I mean, she said it. She said it very well. He wasn't a saint,
Mm.
but from where I sit, I think he's a son, a
Mm.
true son of the land,
So son of a man.
true son of Africa.
Right.
And here at Africa Global, we can only say, Jenny well, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
Jenny well.
Right, but let me move on to Epi, and let's just talk brief about COVID-19 handling and the whole controversies surrounding it. I mean, when he was president till his unfortunate demise.
I think he cast the whole COVID-19, his handling of COVID-19 actually put him in the wrong light or in the bad light for
Yeah.
most people. Because
Mm.
then for most people, the dislike for him
Mm.
or the lack of interest in him
Yeah.
changed when he actually started banning certain press coverage of parliamentary debates,
Okay.
which to him was saving the nation money. But then they thought he was trying to distance parliament from the public. And then also he had to move and shut down certain press houses and then certain newspapers because, I mean, they were writing kind of things that to him were not right. They were critical in the wrong sense. But handling COVID-19 was like, okay, the top of it. You started doing this, we're not saying anything, but this is it. Because these were lives that were at stake. You had people were dying, people were actually contracting the COVID-19 virus. But he says, let's organize prayer. He wasn't the only one organizing the prayer and fasting.
Right.
His wife was also organizing prayer and fasting.
Yeah. Mm.
And he was encouraging the steaming.
I think we did the same here in
of
our base,
herbs
Ghana.
and
We did that,
things.
right?
You see,
We
the
did that.
difference is we did.
No, we did that, didn't we?
We did that. But then it was like,
We followed the
we
science.
actually,
Huh?
you see,
We follow the science as well.
we didn't do
Oh,
it
okay.
in, let's say, oblivion of the fact that it was real or that it could actually happen or that the effects were there. But he was just denying it.
Okay, that it's not real.
The man was literally, he was living denial of the fact, And one thing, even when he did accept the fact that fine, it is there,
Yeah.
he didn't take it on the scientific path. Like, let's get doctors or scientists or from one of the statements he made, I've forgotten his, but one of the statements he made was like he had lost confidence in the scientific laboratories they had in the country to
Interesting.
be able to actually bring about something that could help them. So then
Okay.
let's pray and let's steam. And that is what, for me,
Well,
was not right.
For steaming, you'd find some elements of science in there because obviously it's one
It's
of the
still
Yeah, but
science.
steaming for what?
And he's actually an industrial chemist.
He was a maths teacher and a chemistry teacher as well.
That for some people would be very, like, why would, a chemist by profession actually not actually going by the books and actually looking
guys, like I keep saying,
Yeah.
we are heading dangerously close to
but then again, yeah, like we said, no one
Soiling
can be
his-
judged in that manner. And of course, if we're talking about how people handled COVID-19 at the very beginning, you'd mention other world leaders
The
also in
UK?
that space. In the UK,
No,
Donald Trump,
see,
Jair
with
Bolsonaro,
with
and what have
COVID,
you. Everybody's had the way that everybody has the way they're handling it, and
nobody
it's a
understood
unique
it.
feature exactly in every
So they were
jurisdiction. So.
handling it the best way they could.
Right, but
Or they
then
thought
real quick,
they
without
were.
running much time. So mommy, okay, yeah. Oh my God, I forgot. If this was a car right now, I would have left you behind, but I wouldn't have. I would have remembered. You, my G.
Yeah, so on the
Right.
subject of COVID-19,
Yeah.
the late president actually won the country's health ministry against
Okay.
rushing into embracing the COVID-19 vaccines
Right.
that have been promoted by foreign companies and countries. This is what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
You should stand firm.
Mm-hmm.
Vaccinations are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
If the white man was able to come up with vaccinations, he should have found a vaccination for AIDS by now.
Okay.
He would have found a vaccination for tuberculosis by now.
Yeah.
He would have found a vaccination
remember
for
that.
malaria by now.
I remember
He
that.
would have found a vaccination for cancer by now.
Well, you cannot go on with your because obviously you'd find opposition people, parties, people of the press trying to say this and that, but it's everywhere. Irrespective of whatever leader you are, there are people who you will find
No,
in your
essentially,
country
what he's saying
criticizing.
is because it's something that largely affects Africa. A lot of the other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Is why there is no investment or any interest in it. Okay, if they were actually, interested in finding the cure to some of these things, they would have found it. By now.
Okay, right.
But that goes to say, his nationalist approach to issues.
To issues, exactly,
Seeing
exactly.
things through the African lens. Okay, the Africa First.
Right. Agenda.
Agenda.
Okay, now
First thing.
let's move on to look at, of course, still in the lights of the passing of John Magufuli. Now, his vice president will be succeeding him.
Samia Suluhu.
Yes, as the first female president of Tanzania. And if that happens, which I'm sure in no time, she would be the second female president in Africa. Is that it? Because we have Ethiopia.
Oh, Liberia
Yeah.
had a president, female.
No, currently, I'm talking about
Currently. Oh,
currently. I
okay,
mean, certainly
okay.
it was just way back, but I'm talking about currently. We have Ethiopia, and then if she finally gets sworn in, she would become the second female president in Africa at the moment, and the first female president of Tanzania. I believe all the glitz and glam's already going high, right? I mean, Epi, I love that. Epi, wanna give that expression? Yeah, she loves saying that a lot.
Which expression?
It is.
What a woman
Here he
will
comes.
do.
Here he comes. It's on its way. You just broke it. Continue. Yeah.
I love the fact that it's a woman that's actually going to get to
See?
be the president.
See?
I love it when it's 1st, and I love the fact that it's a woman.
Yeah.
So we're changing trends,
Yeah.
and gradually we are accepting and adapting, and coming to a place where
Right.
it's okay for a woman to, and
Raise the bar
it just
high, yeah?
brings me back to the proverb: "When a woman rules."
Yeah. Streams run uphill, right?
Just imagine a woman
Okay.
who has been with Magufuli.
Exactly. So hopefully we're looking to see, the continuation of his vision and what he has for the people of Tanzania. But this is where time will permit us. Let me just round it all up with Hafiz, and then Mami, so we can wrap up. Hafiz, final words.
Yes. The discussion at some point got,
Rowdy.
it was all about COVID this, COVID that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't enjoy it when they talk about Magufuli and it's all they talk about is
COVID-19,
because
right.
he did so much good.
Oh,
for you to
yeah.
just concentrate on
Exactly.
his feelings and
And
COVID
for me,
and the
if you
approach.
ask me, that I wouldn't consider as failure. I'd consider it as his own strategy of handling issues.
Because you see,
You know?
look, for whatever opinion you hold of a person, okay, someone might see him differently.
Of course,
Things are not always
definitely,
black and white.
definitely.
Now, in Ghana here, we
definitely.
would sit and say Magufuli this, Magufuli that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get to experience him first. Now, it's just like the issue of Kwame Nkrumah. When you hear someone outside
Nkrumah.
Ghana talk about Kwame Nkrumah in glowing terms,
Be fascinated.
someone's like, wow.
But you still have
But when
some
you come
people
into
here
Ghana,
who are somehow
there are some
happy.
people that are like, Kwame Nkrumah. that's,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I don't know if you get me.
Right,
Because
right.
I mean, they got to experience him firsthand.
Yeah.
So there are varying opinions. It's just like when we heard the passing of Jerry Rawlings. On Nigerian Twitter, I had so many good stories. I'm like,
Are we talking about the same
"Yes,
JJ
the same
here?
Rawlings we are talking about. So
I know,
these
right?
things happen.
I mean, there's
okay?
always the bad
These
and the
things
good
happen.
side,
So
yeah.
you would I mean, it's almost like Nana,
Mommy. Can
mommy.
you please not just say Maud? I think that would be on the safer
No,
side.
something is going on today. I really don't know what, but something
Nothing
is
is
definitely
happening.
going on today.
That's so rest for the wicked.
No,
All right, all
I'm
right.
under
All
a
right.
spell or something.
Yeah, I know,
That's
right?
really yeah, but yes,
Okay.
we've lost a true son of the land,
Absolutely,
and like
absolutely.
I said, I mean, we only hope our president would journey well.
Yeah. Okay. That's Hafiz. We heard from Epe. Let's wrap it up with my May. Want to say some final words?
I mean, this is a man that I would have loved to know personally because some of his stance on certain things are hilarious but serious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's sad we didn't get the chance
Yeah,
to meet some of these great men of the land.
absolutely.
Since we're all about the African consciousness, we're all about the continent, we're all about decolonizing our minds.
True.
Like it's sad we didn't get to meet, but wherever he is, wherever
Yeah.
he happens to find himself right now, we hope he rests in peace.
And as much as some people
And
actually.
we pray that he made good with himself.
Oh yeah, yeah. God, I mean.
Or with the
definitely.
people that were important to me, with the people that he had while
Absolutely.
he was alive.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Very interesting conversation right there. But due to time, we cannot continue. But believe me, we will be updating you with developments from Tanzania. Of course, the next big issue is the swearing in of the first female president. And then we will ride on from there. The show was Africa Daily on Africa Global Radio. Let's